Hey everybody, welcome back to the Optimized Ecommerce Podcast. I'm Tanner Larsson, your host, and today we're joined by Brad Owens, yet another one of the BGS team members and the revenue optimization experts. This is a repeat performance for Brad, repeat guest. He's been on a couple times before and will be on many more times in the future. But today Brad and I are going to be talking about a topic that just is super near and dear to my heart. It's one of my favorite topics in the e-commerce and online business space, and that is continuity and recurring revenue. And how do you use it? How can you build it into your systems? How can you build it into your business and all of that? Now, the cool thing is like, I love to talk about this. Like, I mean, I have an entire chapter on it in my book, and I've created courses on it. And it's one of those things that I will preach from the rooftop to everybody who will listen to me. It's my soapbox, right? The cool thing is Brad is one of those guys. When I met Brad was a customer, a student of Build, Grow, Scale. And he was doing it. Like, he was using what we talked about, because a lot of the times I'll say something, people go, oh yeah, that's cool, but they don't do it. Brad actually did it in his business before he came to work with BGS. And he's also a huge fan of continuity and using recurring revenue to grow your business and stuff. So we're going to be talking about that. It's really cool. Little background on Brad, just as an update in case you don't know. Brad is one of the revenue optimization experts here at Build, Grow, Scale. He works on our amplified partner stores. So he's one of the guys in the trenches working with our team to scale large e-commerce brands. And then on the flip side of that, he's also one of the head coaches in our e-commerce business blueprint, which is our beginners training program for people who are just getting off the ground, trying to, start a store from scratch or, figure out what they want to sell. And he's one of the lead coaches in that, along with Jeremy Friedland, and they do a phenomenal job. So Brad really gets to see both sides of the equation, from, complete startup all the way to, scaling 8-figure brands. So it's got a really good knowledge, as well as his own personal experience growing his own brand. So Brad, thank you very much for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's get into it, right? Let's talk a little bit about continuity, right? So continuity is what we're talking about here is recurring revenue, whether it's on a monthly, quarterly, or yearly or whatever basis, some kind of predictable recurring revenue where they sign up once and get billed ongoingly. Very common in the supplement space, very common in consumables, but those are some of the most popular ones. But why don't you kind of go through some more of the popular ways continuity is used specifically in e-commerce?
Okay, so one that you should be very familiar with is going to be Amazon. So if you're on Amazon, you probably have Amazon Prime, and that's an example of a buyer's club.
Yep.
Another example is like Costco or Sam's Club. You can do that for your website, where people can sign up and they can get discounts, they can get free shipping, they can get digital products, or anything like that, and it's just recurring revenue every month. Mm-hmm. And you can even go a little step further with a micro continuity program, where it's a very small amount that they pay. It could be like $4 or $5 or $7 a month, where it's almost a no-brainer for them to join. And then you can ship out something like very inexpensive. Could be like inexpensive jewelry that you get from Alibaba or AliExpress. Like if you're in the with the essential oils and diffusers, things like that. It could be a digital product, like a newsletter with just amazing information that your buyers are going to want to have. So you've got micro continuity, and then the other really big thing right now are boxes. They can be like mystery boxes, they can be themed boxes, but people love to order boxes. They love opening them, and they love recording themselves opening the boxes, which is great for like user-generated content that you might get.
Yep. And there's boxes, guys, in every conceivable market, from obviously like the famous ones like BarkBox, for toys and stuff like that. But there's like niche boxes down into like little certain Star Wars themed. There's actually now a Mandalorian themed box. There's kid boxes for all these different like Shopkins and different types of toys like that. Clothing, Stitch Fix for women. Then there's versions for the guys as well. A lot of brands are now rolling out their own boxes. There's mix match boxes like Honest Company does, Jessica Alba's company, where you can get a monthly box of whether it's cleaning or mix or like baby products or whatever, and you can mix and match what you want in your box and they ship it to you. It's really a cool model if you have the product base. And the reason it works so well, like Brad just alluded to, is it's like Christmas every month. They get a box to open a birthday present every single month, and people really like getting stuff in the mail, especially when it's stuff that they want. And then some of the mystery boxes have another appeal to them as well, because there's not only do you know you're going to get something and you love to unwrap it, but there's that surprise factor of what's going to be inside, whether it's clothes for you to choose from and then send back what you don't want, or mystery stuff like what Brad did with his continuity. You just never know what you're going to get. So people love that. So what kind of product really lend themselves well to continuity?
Okay. If you're in POD, like apparel, you can do like a shirt of the month club.
Yep.
So, especially when you're really branding your business, and they love your shirts, you can do the shirt of the month club, and you can do a POD, and you can also, if you want to have them pre-printed and fulfill them yourselves, or to go to a fulfillment center, you can actually, once you get it going, you get an idea of how much you're going to order. You can really project that, and so you can ship it out a lot faster than you could with a typical POD.
And your costs go way down, guys, when you go from a POD to a inventory-based system. Like, as an example, we actually did a print-on-demand front-end offer on a shirt in the Second Amendment niche for a while. And once we scaled that up, we realized, oh man, we're sitting about $7 to $8 a shirt is what our costs were. When we went to inventory-based, our shirt cost was $180 to $2, in that range, at $225 at the high end. And if we did front and back prints, it was in $3. But yeah, we had to buy them in bulk, but we already knew the volume of what we were shipping out on average. So what we would do is we would just, have our printer print, 100 of each size that sold the most. And then once they started getting low, they print another 100. So we always have them in batches. Or then we started, once that scaled up, we'd print 500, and then we print 1,000. But it's super, super profitable. And if you're going to do a continuity of the month, it's possible to do a $20 or less continuity of the month with a shirt, including shipping, and still be massively profitable once you get it going.
Exactly. Right. And other things would be consumables. It's kind of a no-brainer if you have like supplements, or like keto is like super popular right now. So things like that's popular with keto, like almond flour, or the pork rind breadcrumbs, things like that. If they're going to use them up, you kind of project like how long it's going to last, and you can set a standalone price and then also a subscription price where you can where you'll get a new bottle every 6 weeks or whatever it is. So if you're doing supplements, any consumables, you got to get the continuity going with that. And then just things like any stock that you might have, especially if you already have a retail store. It's a great way to move like your dead inventory. You don't want to have like a crappy box. You still want it to have good stuff, but you can really move some of your inventory that's been sitting there for a long time. Totally. Collectibles are great. Jewelry. I mean, almost anything can be in a box.
Yep. And where Brad was going with the shirt of the month club, they've been doing it. Mail order guys have been doing it for years. There's practically an of the month club for anything you can think of. There is a sock of the month club, the wine of the month club, the cheese of the month club, the lingerie of the month club, the flower of the month club. Like, you could put anything in there. And the other thing is you may sell, let's say you sell mountain biking gear, but you have a real rabid following, and you're really like in tune with the market, and you produce some shirts that are, themed to fit that market, right? You could build a continuity of like a mountain bikers of the month club for shirts. Even though you're not a POD company or an apparel company, you could easily bolt that on, let it be print on demand, and sell shirts that your audience would wear. So you basically offer it as an upsell to people who buy your mountain biking gear. They're passionate about the market, and you give them, shirts that fit. Especially if you are that market, you give them shirts that have the right kind of sayings or the right kind of designs that they're going to be like, oh, dude, I want that. And the only way to get it is to be part of the monthly subscription where they send them a shirt every single month. So lots of ways you can bolt these different things together. And it's not just shirts, guys. There's all kinds of different print on demand. There's even now there's basically supplement on demand platforms out there as well. There's companies that do jackets and shoes and apparel and pillows and mugs and there's all kinds of things you can do it from a non inventory based thing. But if you have inventory already, then you can totally do a box very, very effectively. And actually, Brad, you just touched on your collectibles and having a storefront and how you were able to do that. So why don't we go ahead and jump into your experience? Why don't you tell them a little bit about how you built your continuity and how it worked for you?
Okay, so I started a retail store in 2010. It's inside the Mall of Georgia, and it's a comic book shop, essentially. And with comics, basically the retail comic shop model is subscription based, because you have customers that come in and they basically subscribe to different comics. So they may say, okay, I want every Batman and Superman and X-Men and Avengers. And so you already have that recurring revenue every month from your really good repeat buyers. And so for 8 years running my comic store, I had continuity built in. But what I found is, I was sitting on a lot of inventory. You have a lot of long tail things, like comics that may sit in boxes for like years. And so I started doing boxes in my store, and they got super popular. And then when you see other comic shops, some of your competitors doing the same thing, you know that you're doing something right, because they all like copy everybody. And so it was just a great way to clear out a lot of my inventory in the retail store. In 2018 is when I decided to actually shut my store down. It was I wanted to spend more time with my family. I was tired of the mall management, so a lot of different things. I closed my store. I was already familiar with making the boxes, so I just added that to my Ecom site. It's still kind of comic related anyway. I added the boxes and then added the subscription element to it, and it just like really took off. And it was, the comics that I already had. I had like a ton of Funko toys. I had relationships with Funko Direct, so I could still get them wholesale with a comic distributor, so I can get like really good discounts on other collectibles and things like that. So it just grew. Like within probably 3 months of doing my Facebook ads, I grew to about 325 or so monthly subscribers, and about close to 700 boxes a month. And you may think like 325, that's not much, but the way my boxes were made, that they were collectible based, they were kind of like loot crates, but more comic oriented. So they had 10 comics and plus a collectible comic, plus a trade paperback, plus a collectible. So it took a really long time to kit. So, but anyway, every month you're just starting off with, you're not starting from zero. Which is a great thing.
You were getting, in your case, it was awesome because you were actually able to leverage old inventory and get rid of stuff that wasn't moving, and then obviously made some money on it. And then when you needed additional stuff, you went to wholesalers and stuff and filled it in. Yeah. So, guys, now 325 subscribers, you're like, oh man, that's not a lot, but it actually is when you have, continuity revenue built in. That's just free money that you've already sold that you have to fulfill on, but you already know it's coming in, it's bankable. And, it depends on the price point, with a box, most boxes, especially things like Brad's, they're going to be in that $39, $49, maybe even more, dollar price point. So it can add up really, really quick. And when you have something that people like what Brad did, you get that retention period as well. So they're not staying for 1 month. They're staying for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, or sometimes longer. And so that really just starts to add up. And as you do more boxes, typically, depending on how you build it, you structure it, your cost per box goes down. Because with volume comes pricing discounts. With volume comes the economies of scale and the ability to, do better with your margins. So you actually make more money from each box typically with every new subscriber. And if you're not doing that as you're growing, you need to look at where you can, apply economies of scale and get better pricing, whether that is inventorying, buying a little bit more bulk, telling your supplier, hey, you know what, instead of buying it by the 10, I want to buy it by the 1,000 or by the 100 and see if you get better prices and things like that. So boxes are super powerful.
Yep. And with my 325, that's when I decided to start scaling it down and stopping it, because it was just me, and then I had a part-timer, and it was getting to the point where we were going to have to hire some more people. I was going to have to get pallets of product. I was going to have to get warehouse space, And I was really at a crossroads. It's like, do I even want to do this? And then the opportunity to join BGS came up.
Yep.
So that kind of like made my decision for me.
Yep.
So with 325, I could have easily scaled that up, but just chose not to.
Yeah, because you were in your case, like your warehouse was your basement, right? That was where all your extra inventory was, and
shipping out my basement. And the wife would not be cool with trucks coming with pallets of products unloading in my garage. And my neighbors probably wouldn't be cool with that either.
Totally. So there's a dark side to any kind of e-com side of thing when you're dealing with inventory. But just because Brad was doing it, he could have potentially looked at a fulfillment house and gone with that, but then he would have had to ship all kinds of inventory that he didn't want to have moving there. But if you have a very systematic box where you know exactly what it is, you can do it with third-party fulfillment. You could, grow to a warehouse space where you do it. Or there's actually companies out there now that specialize in helping you sell boxes. You're going to get a little bit less margin on it because they're taking their cut, but they'll actually assemble and build and ship your box for you. And that's what they do as a business. They actually just support subscription box companies.
Right.
Now, boxes aren't the only thing you have to do, guys. You guys could do a completely digital subscription. Brad mentioned micro-continuities. Micro-continuities are one of my absolute favorites. These are, $3, $4, $5, $6 a month subscriptions, which are, low cost, almost too much of a pain to cancel, but easy to provide value for and easy to fulfill. It could be as easy as, a few emails a month or an email a month, or, a coupon code that goes out every single month for them. It could be an association. Your buyers club, your VIP club could be like, hey, for $4.99 a month, you're going to get, 2 special sales a month or whatever else, or you're going to get an extra discount to apply to any order you make throughout the month. And the idea here is that volume makes up for it. We've done micro-continuity programs where we have 30 and 40,000 people paying us $3 and $4 a month. Okay. And the retention on micro-continuity is massive. And because I mentioned it where you talk about the pain of disconnect and it's too much of a pain to cancel. When people look at their credit card bills every month, which most consumers do, they look for big charges. They go, oh, I got to stop paying for that. That's $50. That's $30. But when they see a $3 or a $4 charge go on there, they don't even look at it. And if they do, they're like, is it really worth me picking up the phone or digging out the email to go cancel it? So they don't do that. And then if you're also providing value on it, you can easily get 9, 10, 11, 12 month retention times on that or more. We've had some members, that were staying, close to 2 years in a program. So there's lots of different ways you can skin this cat. And it's just about getting creative and delivering something of value that would fit your audience and then positioning it in the way you want to sell it. Now we've got lots of different ways we can talk about this, but Brad, I know you've got a couple favorites that you want to talk about in terms of like, these guys do it right.
Okay, yeah, one of my favorites, and this is one that my son turned me on. My son, a few years ago, just really got into fishing. Went off to college. He's kind of in the country, really got into fishing. And he told me about a site called Carl's Bait and Tackle. And it's actually a spinoff of another site called Mystery Tackle Box. Mm-hmm. And they do boxes for the fishing niche. And they're like fishing accessory, lures, things like that. Mm-hmm. And they do over 150,000 boxes a month.
Jeez, that's
nice. So they're huge, and they were so successful that they created Carl's Bait and Tackle, which is amazing with their branding that they do. Carl is like this really goofy fishing dude, and just the whole site is pretty funny. But they have their mystery boxes on that site, and they also have another layer of continuity. They have a buyers club as well. So you can also order their mystery boxes, but also like standalone items. They have like some apparel. They've got fishing accessories. They have poles and reels and just all kinds of stuff. And you can join their, I think it's Carl's Club, mm-hmm. Where you get a discount on everything. So they've got 2 layers of continuity going on, which is amazing. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're really good. And the other one, you mentioned it at the beginning, but it's Stitch Fix. Uh-huh. And I think they're probably the most successful box company. They do over $1 billion a year in sales. And the great thing with Stitch Fix is it's apparel. It's actually like a whole wardrobe for men or women. and there's no risk to the customer at all. So you order, you kind of go through a wizard, and they'll send you a wardrobe of the month, and you basically decide what you want to keep and what you want to return, and they pay for the return shipping and everything, and you only pay for what you want to keep. Mm-hmm. So they take on all the risk to the customer. That's one thing with any kind of mystery boxes, is you want to reduce as much of the risk as you can.
Yep, absolutely.
Because just getting a mystery box in itself, it's risky. You don't know if you're going to like it or not. Mm-hmm. So those are probably my two favorites.
Yeah, those are both great ones. Guys, I want to touch on one more thing about the Buyers Club, because Brad mentioned it again, and they give you a good site that's using it. So the Buyers Club, especially if you have lots of products or you have people, there's a reason for people to come back and buy from you again. The Buyers Club, yes, you can make some money on that. Let's say you do a micro continuity where it's $5 a month to be a part of the VIP Buyers Club. Okay. You're like, that's $5. Like, that's not very much. Okay. Well, again, we've talked about how volume, as you get a lot of people in it, that increases. Okay. That's not the biggest benefit of a Buyers Club or a VIP club. The benefit of that is the psychology that goes along with it. They're paying you $5 a month to be a VIP member of your club. Now they've got this back of their mind thing in their brain where it's going, okay, well, I've got to leverage this membership. I've got to use this. So these people who are in your Buyers Club and paying you to get discounts become your absolute best repeat customers. They purchase way more than anybody else. So don't look at it as I'm going to get $5 out of this customer. Look at it as I'm getting a commitment from this customer to buy from me again and again and again. And that far outweighs that $5. But although you get a couple thousand people into that membership, that $5 adds up pretty nicely, offsets your ad spend or different things like that. And all of a sudden you're smiling and singing a different tune because you're making a lot of money. But every single time we've launched a Buyers Club for a company and helped them do it or dialed in what they were doing, if we track the metrics out, people in their Buyers Club basically become the whales of their brand, the ones that spend the most, 3, 4, 5, 10 times. Devin, one of our Amplified partner members, and he also teaches in our Ecom challenge, just mentioned the other day that from their VIP club, they have a guy that just did his 75th purchase, okay, from an Ecom store that's only a couple of years old. 75 times they've got this guy to buy, and it's a women's jewelry brand, right? So, but that's what you can do when you have that power of the commitment from people joining your VIP Buyers Club. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a financial front end win. And if you make that barrier too high, you get less people in. So the lower that barrier is, you got to find that happy medium where you get a lot of people in, but you still make some money on it, but then you turn them into that repeat buyer, that you want. The catch there is that you actually have to deliver on that. Once they're in the Buyers Club, got to give them reasons to buy, give them good discounts, give them good deals, give them special deals that the rest of the world doesn't get to see. Maybe do a limited edition product for them or a variation that only they get. Sky's the limit in what you can offer them, but that's one of the ways to leverage the Buyers Club.
Yeah. You got to do that with boxes as well. You don't want to have a crappy box because they will unbox on YouTube, and if they don't like it, they'll let you know, and everyone will know. So it's not just with the Buyers Club too, is you've got to if you're doing a box, make sure it's a good box. Get into the mindset of your customer and think, okay, as a customer, would I like this? If I opened it, is this something that I want? Would I be happy with it?
Yep. And on boxes, guys, something else just to add in there. Most people look at boxes with, man, I have to find new stuff to put in the box every single month. So when they start their store or their continuity, they get one sale. Well, they create a box, and the next month they're like, man, I got to create a whole new box for only the one person or the 2 people or the 3 people that I have in there. It's different when you have thousands of members. The next month is not as big of a deal because you already have that money coming in. You have the buying power to create the new box and all that. But when you're starting out, it can be kind of prohibitive. And also trying to think of what that next thing is going to be if you're trying to keep it different every single month. We had that issue with us, but we launched a subscription box for the Second Amendment space a few years ago. Actually, I always say a few, but it's been more than a few now. It was back in 2016 and 17 was when we launched it. And the box we went to a few thousand people very, very quickly on our membership. But when we launched it, we said, okay, we don't know how long this is going to take to grow. We don't want to we were trying to downsize our warehouse and move to a third-party fulfillment. So like, we really don't want to get into having to constantly be buying lots and lots of different products. So what we did was we did what we call a drip fed box, okay? Which is where each month is always the same, okay? And when someone joins the membership, they don't, let's say Brad's been a part of my membership for 5 months. He's on month 5. He gets the month 5 box, but someone else who joins today gets the month 1 box. So all month 1 boxes are the same, all month 2 boxes are the same, all month 3, and so on. So every month you add 1 more box, but you're not having, it's just 1 more box, and you've already got, let's say you have 12 months, you've got 12 boxes full of predefined products. So if you're going to use a third-party fulfillment, super easy to do because they can build those boxes in advance. Like, okay, here's the 5 products that go into box 1. Here's the 5 products that go into box 2. Here's the 5 products that go into box 3. And you can buy them in volume. And then what you do is you buy them in volume based on your retention. Okay, so once you learn your retention, you're like, okay, my average retention is 6 months. Well, I'm going to make sure I have the most inventory on months 1 through 6. And then I can scale down months 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then if you increase your retention, then you scale it up like that. But that way, you only are producing and shipping, very fixed thing. It allows you to have a very linear progression to your box, but still have the surprise effect for each person. Okay. And it works really, really well. We've done it in a lot of different industries. We do it in the shirt of the month. We've done it in anything where we don't want to be on the hook for creativity if we don't have members, right? So this allows you to scale it over time and, drip feed members into it without having to go crazy. And you only have to keep producing a box for the longest term member. If your members drop off at 6 months and you don't have somebody who's going to go to the 7th month, then you don't have to make a 7th month box. You can stop it at 6. The other thing we've done in another business was we had another membership that was going to be for ongoing. It was going to be an ongoing membership. But we realized that it was actually month 6 was our main thing, our biggest retention. And we had this massive drop on month 7. And we tried everything we could do to bump the retention up to get them to stay that month 7. And no matter what we did, it just didn't seem to work. So what we did was we turned it around and we said, hey, this is a 6-month fixed term membership. So and guess what? As soon as we said it was a fixed term and there was an end in sight, like it only is going to last for 6 months, our conversions skyrocketed because all of a sudden people are like, oh, I'm not going to be paying for this forever. It's only for 6 months and I'm going to get all this cool stuff. It gives them an end in mind, like a finish line, and it allowed them to feel more comfortable buying. Price stayed the same, but our conversion went through the roof. So there's lots of different ways, guys, that you can leverage this.
Yep. It's all about reducing the risk to the customer when you do that.
Yep.
And increasing your trust.
Absolutely. And again, the people who are in your continuity, you're increasing that trust. Every time you deliver to them, whether it's a box or a monthly newsletter or whatever the deliverable is, you're getting top of mind again, you're reaffirming that trust, and you're making them think, I wonder what else I should get from them. And then a lot of your continuity buyers also become your best buyers in terms of other sales that they make from the company. And then you have, every time you ship them something in the mail or email them something, every time you contact them is a perfect opportunity for you to give them a coupon for a different sale or launch a new product or an offer for this. So not only is it delivering the thing, but it's also a way for you to continue your marketing and push them to buy something else.
Right. And make sure that you're emailing asking for photo or even video reviews.
Yeah.
Those are so huge on your product page. And
user-generated content is very critical for that kind of stuff.
And it depends on it though. Like if it's supplements, maybe not so much as far as like the photographs, but especially with my collectibles and apparel and things like that, like the Luke style reviews, which really focuses on the customer's image or photograph, they work really well.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. So we've talked we've been all over the place with these different continuity options and stuff. And I'm sure people are kind of wondering, well, how do I do it? So there's a lot of different ways to do it. And guys, if you really want to get more deep into it, you can go grab E-commerce Evolved. This book is on Amazon. Go grab a copy of it. We got a whole section on continuity, and that'll give you a lot more input on how to do that. But for now, Brad, let's talk about the apps we use and how we actually make it work on a Shopify store, because that's obviously, the next thing people have to figure out.
Right. The number one app is going to be Recharge. And that is the main one. I'm pretty sure it works out of the box with most Shopify themes. If you have the BGS theme, so if you're an EI member or if you're with e-commerce business blueprint, you have the BGS theme, then it does require them to custom code it, but it's like a very simple process. For me, it took, I think, 24 hours. So it's like really fast. I think they had it up and going the next day.
Yep.
So my experience with Recharge is their support has been like really good, and they'll get you up and going. It's like very easy to do.
Yep. Recharge is a great company. There's a lot of companies that offer apps that do recurring revenue. The problem, and recurring billing, subscription billing, the problem is either their code is buggy, or it doesn't integrate correctly with fulfillment, or there's just all kinds of issues. And we've tested so many of them. One of the ones that we really, and I don't like to bag on companies or anything like that, but one of the ones we stay away from a lot is the Bold recurring app, because their code is so bloated and just unfinished. It always causes conflicts in the theme, and it just doesn't work. And again, this isn't about the company. Bold's a good company, everything like that. It's just we've had trouble with that, and so has everybody we've ever talked to. Recharge, though, their support is great. Like Brad said, if you need to have them custom do it, they do it. They don't charge you for that. It's just part of the service. It also works with some of the third-party checkouts out there. It has good metrics and tracking, so you can actually see your retention, your churn, all of that kind of stuff, which a lot of apps don't do very well. And it's flexible, whether it's digital products, physical fulfillable boxes. I mean, any kind. It can work with almost any kind of revenue. It also can work with, if you want to do a digital subscription with some kind of digital membership component or whatever else. There's some apps that plug in with that really nicely to allow Shopify to deliver digital products recurring through a membership. So it's got a lot of robust features, and we use it on all of our Amplified partner stores whenever we do any kind of subscription billing. The other thing with that is, if you're doing a subscription box, this does not work well for drop shipping. Okay, because if you can't drop ship a box unless you have the item. So, and the other thing is, typically a box, if you're going to do a subscription box, there's a heavier cost associated with the shipping on that than a drop ship item, and they're coming from different places. So you may have issues if you're selling it in an upsell fashion, where it's like, buy this drop ship product and buy the box. You're going to have to have routing issues, but you're also going to have a sales issue where it's like, I thought the shipping should be cheap on this product, but you're charging me for this, and then I don't get them both at the same time. It just creates an avenue for major customer service issues. So if you are drop shipping, AliExpress drop shipping or doing anything like that, recommend you do something more like a buyer's club or a digital subscription or something that doesn't require you to actually fulfill a box at a different time like that. It can be done. It's just a little bit more complicated, and is going to definitely add to your customer service complaint levels and stuff like that.
Right. Especially right now when it takes, almost 2 months to get anything from China.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
At the time of this recording.
Yeah, at the time of now. But, even then, it's always 3 to 4 weeks. You just never know. But now it's really slow. So the other piece of that is, how do you, what are some of the best ways to sell a continuity? How do you get people to buy it?
What I did is we would do Facebook Lives, and just your Facebook page, just really create your Facebook ads. Videos are great. If you have customers opening your boxes, that's another thing. You can do a giveaway for a few boxes, have a customer send you a video back. If you can have videos of your customers doing the unboxing, that's amazing. Just make sure, with any Facebook creative, make sure that your creative connects with your landing page, and that there's clarity, so they know exactly what you're doing, what you're selling. So there's no confusion about that. But with me, Facebook ads and just the Facebook Lives and things like that are what worked really well. Google Shopping was also good when people were looking for things like that, especially with boxes. They'll look for different boxes. So really the Google Shopping and just the Facebook, were the best. But really Facebook is where you really target and get those people, with probably Google Shopping was secondary for me.
So you can definitely leverage the front end like Brad's talking about, but your subscription can also be sold. One of the best places to offer a subscription is as a post-click, one-click upsell after the purchase of whatever product it is they bought, whether it is supplement and you're offering a subscription, whether it's a consumable, whether it's like they bought a something for the dog and now you're offering them your doggy bag continuity where you're going to supply them with poop bags every month, which actually does work, by the way. Or something like that. So one of our favorite ways to leverage it is as a post-purchase, one-click upsell. Whether it's you're pushing a subscription box, your buyer's club, whatever, they've already bought with you. They're at that buyer's high. Their guard is down. They're trusting you. It's a perfect time to present a continuity offer with a trial or with a discounted front month or a front-loaded front month where they get some kind of extra perk for jumping in now and getting them on that continuity. It can also be done very, very effectively via email. Once a customer has purchased, you have an entire dedicated automatic campaign that goes out that tries to upsell them into your continuity program, and you can tie that in with ads and all kinds of things. But the thing is the continuity is oftentimes a harder sell on the front end, unless it's a box. Boxes are kind of buck the trend there because the people can buy them. But most continuities, even boxes in some cases, are a harder sell on the front end. And if you just position them as a post-purchase promotion, whether it's as an upsell or as an email campaign or whatever, you've already broken that trust barrier and they're good. They've made a purchase. They've already given you money. And now that next sale is easier and you can make a much better break. So just because you have a continuity, let's say you can't break even on the front end with it, you can't make it work, don't scrap it. Shift its position in your marketing, put it as an upsell, put it as a campaign or something like that, and retest it, and then just change the entry points and that's what you want to test, is how do you get people into it? Usually you want to make that first month just the absolute no-brainer, whether it's a trial, a discounted rate, you add extra bonuses, something along those lines, and then once they're in, that monthly takes care of itself as long as you're delivering value. But don't feel bad if you can't convert the continuity on the front end, because a lot of people can't, and that doesn't make it a failure. It just means you need to shift things around and move it in place. But it is a great thing that you guys should be adding. Pretty much have not come into contact with an ecom business yet on the planet that can't leverage some form of continuity, whether it's at the minimum a buyer's club or something like that. So don't look at your business and go, oh, my business is different, I can't do that. You can, you just got to get creative with it and figure out what it is. Now, the downside of a continuity is it's very easy to look at a continuity and go, ooh, that'll make a lot of money. That is the completely wrong mindset as to getting something to sell. You need to figure out what is going to provide value and what do they actually want? What does your customer actually want? If you figure that part out, apply it to a continuity that works, then yes, you'll make a lot of money. But if you go, man, I could do a newsletter where I send one email a month, that'll make me a lot of money and it won't be any work at all. Does that newsletter provide any actual value to them? Is there any reason for them to want to be a part of it? So, because you could create it, but it's not going to make you any money if there's no value. And if you do create it and you get sales and there's no value, then you're going to deal with chargebacks, refunds, and bad word of mouth. So go into all your continuity programs with a customer-centric, customer-focused approach, and then work your way backward to a price point that makes sense and a model that makes sense, and then start offering it to your customers. So Brad, any other last words or last thoughts you want to share with anybody before we wrap up?
Yeah, it's just, if you can find a way to do it, and like Tanner said, there's so many different things that you can do. Like pretty much any business, you can fit this in somewhere, but go ahead and do it. I mean, that's your safety net. And it'll start snowballing too. You know, the first month or two may be kind of slow, but then it'll start to snowball and compound over time. So it's just amazing that you can have a amount that's almost guaranteed every month, even if no one comes to your site.
Yep.
So just you get that peace of mind.
Absolutely. Very true. All right, guys, there you have it. A little talk on continuity. Hopefully you got some good value out of it. Make sure you are subscribed to this podcast. If you're on iTunes or Stitcher or whatever, make sure you click the subscribe button. If you're watching us over on YouTube, go click the subscribe button on YouTube and the notification icon to make sure you get notified when we release a new episode. And if you need links or you want the show notes, go to buildgrowscale.com/podcast. You can access everything there, the show notes and links to all the different platforms where you can get this podcast, including the videos and all that goodness. So guys, thank you very much. And we will see you on the next episode.